Hi, version 2.0 of Honkai Star is almost here, and alongside we are also getting a rerun of our favorite skill point eating dragon, Heng Imbibitor Lunae. Lunae was labeled as one of the best when it comes to DPS. However, does the title still hold true after 4 patches? And is it still worth pointing for, as we have gotten some pretty insane units recently and have some pretty insane units coming up? Well, here are 3 reasons why you should prefer Lunae and 3 reasons why you should not prefer Lunae to help you decide. Before we start, I'll be giving away a supply pass / welcome rune / crystal card to my subscribers at 3k subs, so make sure you subscribe to enter. If you do not know what Lunae does or need a reminder, Heng Imbibitor Lunae is a 5-star imaginary unit following the path of destruction. His skill can be used up to 3 times, each time costing 1 skill point and empowering your basic attack. At 3 power-ups, his basic attack is now Blast and does massively more damage. His ultimate is also Blast and gives him 2 stacks of his ultimate, which can be used instead of skill points for his skill, and his talent increases his damage the more time he hits enemies. Overall, definitely a more unique kid compared to the rest of the cast, and it really shows when playing him. But what also really shows when playing him is his damage, as that brings us onto the 3 reasons why you should prefer Lunae. Number 1. Imbibitor Lunae has some of the highest, if not the highest damage in this game. He is the damage per screenshot character. When anyone wonders who can get the biggest numbers in this game, it's Lunae. This is due to multiple reasons like its insane multipliers, but more importantly it's due to the abundance of just free stats you get in his kit. Let's just take a quick look. His talent gives you damage percentage up to 60%, okay, that's pretty nice. His skill gives you 48% crit damage, oh because why not, and oh right, he also gets another 24% crit damage against enemies with imaginary weakness. Not to mention his bonus stat traces, which most other characters has a few useful ones and a few not quite useful ones. Nah, but Lunae gets basically all useful ones, and probably the best ones you can get. We're talking straight imaginary damage bonus and crit rates. And yes, 500% on your empower basic attack is strong, but how about 2 or 3 fully level relics, 4 stats just embedded inside his kit? Lunae is one of the strongest DPS in this game, and it really is with good reason, even though the reason is the game building the character for you. But nevertheless, no one can deny his damage output, as it really is as insane as it sounds. Number 2. Being a destruction character, he is allowed to have AoE in his kit, and sure thing he has. Most of the game's content is AoE. It could be hordes and hordes of 5 enemies like pure friction, or bosses with their helpers like Memory of Chaos. But ultimately, the point is that AoE characters will see much more use compared to single target characters, unless you're silly. And AoE Lunae is. Both Lunae's empower basic attack and his ultimate does massive damage to a single target and a bit less to those adjacent. This is extremely nice, as it would have been a disaster if he were to eat 3 skill points just to hit 1 enemy. But thankfully that's not the case, and it means Lunae is a very widely used unit in basically whatever game modes the game offer. And let's not forget about his single target capabilities too. In the less common single target content, he's no joke either. Because as I've mentioned, the way his AoE works is that he does a massive damage to a single target and then a bit less to those adjacent. This means that you're getting most of your damage to the middle target, the single target. And a lot of times that's perfect, as even in single target content like boss fights, they usually have weaker mobs in the side that the game mode spawns or they themselves spawns. So Lunae might actually perform better than some single target units in single target content. Number 3. Well, Lunae is no Kafka and is not particularly getting more and more strong as more and more characters are released. But it is still unfair not to mention the release of Ron May and Sparkle as a huge upgrade for Lunae since release. Unreleased, Lunae was a fairly complete character. There's a relic set perfect for him, he has some, albeit scarce, great teaming options, but as the game progresses, we are definitely gonna get more characters that fit Lunae's playstyle a lot more than the current characters. And that is exactly what's happening. Rame's release gave us another option to Lunae as he wants skill point positive teammates. While it isn't perfect, this means that we are not stuck with just Tingyun, Pala, Lotra as his only team. Another character as mentioned is Sparkle. Sparkle is gonna be a parry made in heaven with Lunae, as she especially wants skill point hungry teammates while straight up gaining and increasing skill points. She also have action events and damage buffs, so Lunae will get a huge power up from Sparkle as well. And honestly, as time moves on, I really doubt we will see many characters that is going to contest Lunae's spot as the damage per screenshot king. So while it's not perfectly future-proof, as the game evolves, I won't be surprised if Lunae gets small buffs here and there that keeps him relevant for a long time coming. However, even though Sparkle is coming and all these skill point issues will be fixed with her, fingers crossed, that doesn't mean everyone is gonna get her. And without her, things start to look a little bit more grim. And that brings us onto the 3 reasons why you should not prefer Lunae. Number 1. Honestly, without Sparkle, Lunae has very specific teammate options. While there are many units in this game that's able to function with Lunae, there is no denying that his best teammates are very limited and highly contested too. As I've said before, it is almost essential to be skill point positive to be played with Lunae. Even skill point neutral is a bit of a stretch. This makes him extremely selfish when it comes to team building and gameplay, which could be a very bad thing if your account is not loaded with every single character in this game. Well, at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. However, it really does make him feel a lot less comfortable to play. And especially since we have gotten a free imaginary DPS Dr. Ratio, who despite being single target is actually more than good enough to clear a lot of the content in this game, making many players actually gravitate towards Ratio instead just for the sake of comfort. Number 2. Speed tuning, speed tuning, speed tuning. I love speed tuning. Jokes aside, speed tuning is not essential, but it really is recommended if you want to get the most out of your Lunae. Ideally, every time Lunae has a turn, we want to use 3 skill points and then basic boom, big damage, high DPS, big smiles. But unfortunately, we have to account for enemies, as they could be attacking or crowd controlling our teammates, or maybe even a boss mechanic. So there's probably a few skill points that we have to use, despite our teammate being skill point positive. Then we have to account for our own teammates. Do we have a buffs ups? Is the enemy debuffs? Is our teammate low? So there's another few skill point used. Even in skill point positive teams, we cannot literally spare every single skill point for Lunae. And if the teammate are too slow or Lunae is too fast, well, you're gonna be in a pickle. Number 3. While I'm sure not everyone is an auto battle gamer, let's just say the AI sucks at playing Lunae teams. Even if you have optimized and tuned your team perfectly to ensure Lunae has 3 skill points to use every single time, unfortunately, the AI loves spamming pellet skill, despite you not having an ice main DPS. And honestly, back to my point, everyone uses auto battle for farming, right? Or at least easy content. Well, sometimes for those easy content, you actually might be so much faster using manual battling that you literally don't want to use auto battle. This isn't as particularly bad as the 2 other bad points, however, auto battle is in the game and the majority of the player base uses it. Maybe you are just a pure manual battle only enjoyer, and honestly that's pretty based. But it really pains me when my AI uses Pella to skill that one enemy to 1 HP instead of using 3 skill points on Lunae to kill 3. This might just be me molding and projecting, but it's part of the game, and I just love when my Lunae doesn't attack. So yeah, as always, if you like the character, just pull for them, don't let anyone persuade you otherwise. Waifus and husbands are always over meta, however this time it's not so bad as it's seated pretty nicely in the meta. Lunae is part of the Destruction trio that formed the Destruction era from version 1.3 and onwards, and honestly I can't say version 2.0 is gonna change that. But we will see as time moves on, as I have a small suspicion that DOT might be on the uprise. As much as Sparkle is strong for Lunae, she's actually equally strong for Kafka DOT teams and actually Silly/Qingque teams too. And to answer the question in the title, yes, but actually no. He ain't the best, but he's still pretty goddamn good.